Hello friends, welcome back to part 12 of my Tesla earnings forecast video review series. I am joined by my ebullient host, co-host Loki, who is really going to town chewing on his bed right now, so check that out. He's not always that active, but right now he is. You can keep an eye on what he's doing in the camera right below here, while I review Tesla PE ratio compression and range, one of the charts from my latest Tesla forecast that I tweeted out. You can find a link to that in the video description if you want to scroll through all the tweets and check them out. So this is non-GAAP, fully diluted on a trailing 12-month basis. What are we looking at here? These are all the PE ratios from every quarter going back to Q1 of 2020, where you can see that the PE ratios kind of peaked back here in Q4 of 2020, or maybe Q1 of 2021. And Tesla's stock price kind of peaked around this area in the hundreds and has been coming down since. So we've got three lines charted here. The red one is the quarterly high PE ratio. So whatever the high price was for that quarter, you divide that by the non-GAAP, fully diluted, trailing 12-month basis earnings. And that's how you get to the PE ratio. Then for the yellow line, that's the quarterly low PE ratio. So you just take whatever the lowest closing stock price was during that quarter, and you divide that price by the earnings to get the PE ratio. Then there's a dashed line here. What's it doing? It's giving you whatever was the quarter end PE ratio. So you got the maximum, you got the minimum, and then you got where the quarter ended. So the maximum may have been like a one-day only thing, or the low could have been. So you got three different measures of the trend here, and for each of these, every day was within the bounds of this high and low during that quarter. So really it's been coming down quite significantly over time, and PE ratios can't keep dropping forever on companies that are growing their earnings. If the earnings are growing by significant amounts, the PE ratio isn't going to keep compressing forever. That's not a thing. So will this continue into the future? It seems unlikely that the PE ratios will compress more from here, is my judgment, but that is not trading advice. Do your own research for entertainment purposes only, etc. And the next couple of charts I want to review in this video are about the operating expenses for Tesla broken down by type, and this is how you want to look at the operating expenses rather than just looking at the total amount and comparing it against prior quarters, which sometimes you'll see the bears do to try to insinuate that Tesla's numbers are fake or fraud or baloney accounting or whatever they call it. If you just look into the detail of what makes up the operating expenses in the current quarter versus the prior year or what have you, it'll be helpful to understanding what's going on. So, for example, this green bar here is showing CEO stock compensation. Well, that's its own weird animal. There are accounting rules that determine how much expense you're supposed to declare in each period related to progress being made towards performance awards. So you see here in late 2020, there were big green bars here showing that Elon was making a lot of progress towards achieving his bonus plan incentives, stock option awards, or stock options. They're not awarding him stock. He's allowed to buy them at the same price Tesla was trading when the performance plan began in March of 2018. So here in Q4 of 2021, the blue bar was a lot bigger than it normally is because Tesla had to pay payroll taxes on Elon's 2012 CEO Performance Award stock options that he bought a bunch of before they expired. So that explains why this blue bar was so big. And in Q4 of 2022, the total expense was down versus that year because there was no, or almost no, stock compensation being awarded. I think that's like $4 million worth of green bar there, a very, very thin slice. It really just looks like the top border on the darker blue section, which is the SG&A stock compensation excluding CEO stock comp, which is a pretty steady number every quarter. And for 2023 and onward, you can see what I'm forecasting for Tesla's total operating expenses. And the next chart that I have here is showing just the SG&A piece. What's the difference between these? They're the same scale. This one has restructuring and other in yellow on it, and it also has this light blue section at the bottom for research and development expenses. So there was this really high quarter, Q1 of 2022, for research and development. And apart from that, those costs have been more under control since. But I expect those to grow as time goes on, as well as the SG&A and the SG&A stock comp. And also I have a plan, a placeholder in for there to be CEO stock compensation in the future over these years. I don't think Elon will continue working for Tesla for free in perpetuity. He's going to want there to be some compensation for him. And the board will probably offer him a stock compensation plan to retain his services as CEO and techno king of Tesla. So I'm penciling in like 50 million here and 150 million each quarter going forward after that, just so I have something in my forecast for those years for Elon's compensation. So you see those bars here as well, ramping up from about 1 billion now to, closer to 2 billion by the end of 2025. These costs growing at a much slower rate than Tesla's total revenue and gross margin will, which ought to improve operating leverage and help Tesla continue to grow operating margin as time goes by. And with that, I will end this video. Let's check in with Loki. There he is, looking straight to camera, just about. So if you wanted a good Loki photo, there's one for you. And I'll outro and say if you've enjoyed today's video, click the like button to let me know, or leave a comment below that says, "Hey James, I liked this video." And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It's so easy to do. You just click the button that I leave over here and get notified every time I post fresh videos by clicking the alert bell. Thank you to everybody who supports me, either through Patreon, where you get early access to my videos the day that I upload them, or by joining my YouTube channel, either of those, whatever your preference is. Especially my executive producers, Kathy Kitchler and Halter Ferguson Financial. And I'll see you in the next one.